then 1 second here. Let me just drop it. Everyone. Twitch.tv/top Madden football. So no. All right, cool. So if they missed the beginning, that's okay because it's going to go right on YouTube after we're done. So I got Warren here for the new guys like Verts and stuff like that. Warren is one of the CMs as well as myself, and our 4-time champion from. I mean, what was it? 4 out of 6 that you won?
4. I got unlucky against Willie because he just one of those games, and I don't really remember the other one. To be honest, I don't.
That you
I think
didn't
it was
win?
the first season, right? That was yeah,
Me and Danny.
I wasn't good then, so.
Yeah, with the Chiefs. But the reason I bring it up is you went 4 championships, 3 out of those. Now's the time you decide to get up. So you won with the Giants, and what we're talking about today is going to be the rosters, the top 5, and then going division by division rosters for Madden 21. And I feel like you're a good perspective. Or you're going to be a good perspective for that conversation because you've won with every team, and you know what you're looking for, especially when you're approaching a franchise. Because this isn't just top 5 rosters. We know who the top 5 rosters are out the gate. Like everybody knows about that. We're here to talk about what makes sense and what you're looking for if you're a team builder, if you're a guy who thinks you can win a belt year 1, or if you think that you have it, maybe you don't have that skill gap to just come in and join a game and win, or maybe you have a later pick, so you're gonna have to find a team at 21 or 20 or 30 to get the job done to try and win a title. So let's just go, division by division here. We'll start with the NFC, and we'll just go kind of like, what are our 4-team order for there, and then, we'll see how it flows. So let's go NFC North. Who is your top team for the NFC North?
NFC North is, it's a 2-team race. It's, do you want to win now or do you want to kind of, have something more to build on? And I think it's Green Bay. It's, right off the bat, for a CFM perspective, and a lot of this too is not just what team's good year 1, like you said, but what team can you, 6-7 seasons down the line. Green Bay to me is just with the young defense, with the now new franchise quarterback. You have trade, if you can trade Rodgers, if the cap hit's not 50 million, young running back, young receivers, they have everything you need.
I'm with you with the 2-team race, but I actually put Minnesota a little bit higher, and the reason why I have Minnesota a little bit higher is because they're a little bit more established and a little bit more built on the offensive side of the football. So you mentioned Rodgers, and I think like if your goal is with the Packers is to take that Rodgers and trade him off and get your income, then you're hurting yourself years 1 and 2 trying to develop somebody like Love. But that's the best. Really in the short term, that's the best way to get talent on your team. Because they don't have the receivers that the Vikings have. They don't have the running back that the Vikings have. So I feel like if you're in a win now mode, Minnesota's the way to go. You're going to have Hitman Harry back there. Kirk's contract isn't going to kill you after like 2 seasons. So I think
the 2 pass rushers too. You're starting off with 2 elite pass rushers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was another thing. Yeah, just having, I'm no doubt in my mind Danielle's going to be 90 overall, X Factor. So if he can get that going, then that might be the way to go. Bears Lions, I think we're both just not a lot of things going. The Bears are going to be good. I feel like if you're a good defensive player and can make up for the offensive inefficiencies, but
their cap situation and just their offseason moves are just awful. Right. If you want to ruin a team, that's what you do. That I feel bad for Bears fans in general, just because they were a season or 2 removed from being, potentially one of the best teams in the NFC, and they just suck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you're gonna have to figure out something at quarterback instantly. Getting rid of Mitch. They have weapons, but and we don't have to get into the Lions talk. Let's just go right into the South. Now my team, I'll go first this time. And another maybe 2, even 3-team battle here, depending on how much you like certain players and certain weapons. But I put the Buccaneers on top. And then the Saints, and then Atlanta. Reasoning for that is we're talking about explosive offenses. I mean, as long as you could run with Ronald Jones, you have everything else that you need. And your life might be easier running with Ronald Jones because of the fact that people have to now worry about Brady, Gronk, Godwin, Howard, Evans. I mean, that's a match made in heaven for an offensive stud.
Yeah, I mean, they right out the gate, they're the best offense. I mean, I think better than New Orleans. What gets me is New Orleans long term. Even though Breeze is going to retire, but I think that they have more pieces on offense and defense to kind of like to be more well rounded, opposed to just hoping Ronald Jones and 94 speed or whatever he is can carry you. But I think having New Orleans up there, they have when Breeze goes, you have Jameis now, so you have a player. It's not you're not stuck with Taysom Hill. It just awful again, awful contract, but they have the defensive pieces, young players, established guys. They really you can build and have a dominant defensive front.
Right. Nothing to remember with Tampa is you're sitting with Devin White. You have Sean Murphy-Bunting back there at corner, and I think it all depends on how well like those.
That's a selling point.
Like young defense. Okay, we're talking about once because you're gonna. So we know how it is. The good teams get the best dev, right? Very rarely are you seeing guys like. I'm not gonna go names, but bad users in the league are not ending the league season with 99 overall rosters or 90 overall players all over the roster. So if you can do enough year one with that offense with Tampa, you're going to see Devin White develop. You're going to have people throwing from behind. So that corner that, may not, if you're trying to rely games on him, he may not ball out. But if you have a situation where people are just throwing up jump balls to him at 6'3", life might be a little bit easier. And that's what comes to mind is with Devin White, with Murphy-Bunting, Shaq Barrett being X factor would be huge for that offense.
Yeah,
or for that defense.
We don't know how X factors are going to be. We don't know if pass rushers are going to be as crazy as they we expect them to be. They could just be, instead of getting that crazy animation once every 3 plays, it might be once every 10. It might not be that as crazy as it was. So I think they will tone that down a bit. So that might leave maybe linebackers or secondary to have to be more impactful than the defensive line.
And I think everybody here's got Cam Jordan PTSD. So
sucks.
Everybody's like, they think this thing. Now the Falcons, once again, that was my third team. I think the Panthers are just kind of a throwaway at this point with no Cam, no Luke. There is a lot of speed on that offense, so I think the Panthers are a good, maybe dropping down late. You're like, all right, well, who I got? Well, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. I don't know if they drafted speed, but they do have Burns on defense. They have pieces, but I think there's just too many question marks that's going on with that roster for me to feel too confident. But they are a good young roster that I think the Panthers might drop. I mean, that's kind of the state of the South. You have anything on Atlanta or Carolina?
I think Atlanta and Carolina are coin flips. They both have, I'm looking through Atlanta's roster now, just hypothetically. I know Deion Jones, obviously fast as shit.
Right.
They have another guy. I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, I know.
AJ Terrell is rookie. They have pieces, but the big thing with Atlanta is they seem to always have cap issues, and in CFMs like Matt Ryan's contract just like kills you from the day one, and without backloading and that type of stuff, that might be one of the situations to really try to avoid unless you're good with the cap.
Right, and as I look at these NFC divisions outside of the North, bro, like. As we go into the East here, there's a lot of really deep divisions. So if you're in a situation where you're picking late and you're like, all right, well, the Panthers look good because of their speed or the Falcons look good because of their speed, but Cap, you have to remember you're going to be playing some dogs. You're going to be playing some tough teams. So like the Eagles, the East, and where I have the Eagles and the Cowboys. Like if you don't want to be the Redskins and Giants unless you're a stud, because those are going to be tough to deal with those offensive lines. Because of the CeeDee Lamb edition. Because of the Dak Prescott love and because of the roster guy as a Cowboys fan, I think the Cowboys are easily going to take the top spot of the East in terms of where you should rank your rosters.
Do you remember when Ryan Switzer came in as like a star dev before, like when star dev was like the step below, like super, the second best? Like
everybody was like, what? For no reason at all. Like third, fourth round guy. Now we have CD. I would not be surprised if CD was like X Factor or Superstar, which I think he well deserves. But if you had to pin like a for sure Superstar pick, after, I mean, where was he picked? Like 18? Does that come to mind? Is CD Lamb around
somewhere
that pick?
There, yeah.
So like, I think CD Lamb's gonna get that nudge. I think obviously losing Travis Frederick, but that doesn't hurt that offensive line too much. I think the Cowboys are the way to go. But I will we're gonna see what happened with like Troy, who's just somebody goes, I don't want to pay him. I don't want to pay him. So if they pay him before the league starts, that might change that. If they go in and throw 40 mil at Dak, then Eagles rise to my list, because now if I'm gonna have to pay a quarterback 35, 40 mil, at least I want him to be superstar. So
yeah, the Cowboys to me is head and shoulders, honestly better than the Eagles. The Eagles again comes into that weird cap situation where they're paying everyone, and you're going to start off the CFM like in negative cap space somehow. And let me just grab Juju. He's playing with his toy.
You're good.
Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, dude. I'll chat a little bit. Yeah, while he's chilling with the dog. I mean, the Eagles, I think. Oh, hey, Juju, how you doing? That'll make Davey's day. We should tag Davey, let him know Juju's on the stream.
So,
what's up, puppers?
So, the Cowboys, I feel like their depth is much better, Madden-wise. They have fast corners, where the Eagles just have the same, 89 speed players, outside of Avonte Maddox. I mean, but I feel like just overall as a speed, and then depth, better receivers, better running back.
Right.
They just really, but at the end of the day, it's 1A to 1B.
Right. I think it's all about a little bit of preference. The Eagles are a bit faster. So on the receiving side, I mean, I'm sure Lamb's going to get love, but Cooper, the receivers that the Cowboys have aren't burners, and the tight ends that they have are kind of, I mean, it's Witten, right? Like, we're not even talking about anybody's studs. So I don't
even know who they have. Jarwin.
Right. So like in my mind, what you're picking is what do you want? Do you want run down everybody's throats? Do you want to be Troy, or do you want to throw the shit out of the football?
No.
With Carson, with all that speed. So the Redskins, I think they'll pop up a little bit later in our conversation, but I think the Redskins are a good value team, especially because they had Chase Young. So I think just off a D-line alone, that's a great team. Woke caused a lot of problems with that roster. Redskins were personally my hardest roster to play last year. Every time I played a Redskins in any league, it's just you're dealing with sweat in your backfield the entire game. And then the Giants, I mean, I can't speak to it. I've never played as the Giants, but you had success last year, but you had success after you spent like 4 seasons drafting O-line.
The Giants roster is awful. They suck in real life, and they suck in Madden. They're a couple of seasons away from being good, and that's kind of they have pieces, but outside of Saquon, I mean, like, what are we, Darius Slayton, like?
Right.
They're clearly the worst team in that division.
I think so too. And then back to another, like, just like the worst team is a team that a good user could take to the Super Bowl, the NFC West. This is probably the one division where there's a legit 1A, 1B, 1C. And it's all about what you want, I think, on the offensive side of the ball. If you want the mobile quarterbacks, the Cardinals and the Seahawks might top your list here. If you feel like you want a diverse defense and an off, I mean, I had the Niners at the top, and I had the Niners at the top solely because of their season last year. I just think that their talent is so hard to stop. It's so unique. I got to play with the Niners in like one CFM, and I remember just being like, holy shit, I fucking love playing with this roster. Like, it's easy. It felt very, very easy. But I mean, I have Cardinals at 2 just because of Hop and Kyler Murray, and now Isaiah Simmons. What are your thoughts on the West?
It's like you said, I would even say 1A to 1D. If you want to pick the Rams and fall asleep on defense and have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey make plays for you, you can do that.
Right.
Rams, bad cap situation. Did they even have draft picks at any point in the next 10 years? They're just I don't know what they're doing. San Francisco obviously is the standard. They lost Solomon Thomas. They also lost Matt Breida, and you have Mozart, who's 27, so he's going to start to regress, and then Tevin Coleman, who's 26. So it really, obviously, for 3 seasons they're good. You can pick up and play. They have Bosa. They're going to be set there.
Right.
And then obviously the Cardinals, probably the most fun team in the division to be.
Oh yeah.
You have everything you need. You really do, and just you can attest that their defense is trash. Isaiah Simmons, thank God they got him, because Buda Baker, great, he's good, but like he's not great. They don't have that
Right.
like that
Right.
great player, and he really outside of Chandler Jones, who's
Um,
downside.
I think Chandler Jones, once again, but I think it's a good enough team and a good enough roster with young guys like Simmons and Buda, so where year one you work on your offense, and you let Chandler Jones and Patrick Peterson, who I believe needs to be up in that superstar rating now. He didn't have it before because of his
For sure.
suspension, I believe it
The
was.
Tyreek Hill, the Tyreek. I have
Right.
Tyreek without any
Right,
abilities.
right. So I think that might change, and now we're going to see Pat Pete, a superstar Pat Pete, and X Factor Chandler Jones, and Isaiah Simmons. I think that's enough of a core on defense. Not to mention you have guys like Hicks who have gotten some love in the past with like zone. I think Hicks always has like 80 zone or something like that.
Well,
So
let me ask you something. Would you rather have say X Factors and Superstars were how they were in this Madden 20?
okay.
Would you rather have a defense with 3 superstars and everyone else be like the Cardinals, or would you rather have, a team with 1 superstar but have they're all like 85-ish overall?
That's on the defensive side of the ball specifically. You're kind of feeling.
Sure, or in general. I mean,
Gotcha.
just
I think as a guy that kind of dealt with the latter, which was a team that was built within mid '80s guys, and then like a select few of X Factor guys. I felt really it feels good whenever you have like it's great when you have a corner or one superstar player that can make an amazing play, but I think you have to be built throughout the roster. At least I think it's all situational. If I will change my opinion 100% if it's like, hey, your one guy is Saquon. Watching what you did with Saquon, I'll change in a heartbeat. Or Hopkins. Like what I got to do with Hopkins that in top one was
just close your eyes and press square or whatever.
And my focus going into this year's we're talking about these teams is like I'm changing because I'm tired of having to work so damn hard to win games. Like this year, I'm like I want a good O-line. That's it. I want a good O-line. So my list here is going to be different from yours just because I'm like, they have a shit O-line, get them off. I don't want them. I'm done dealing with 70 run blocking. Give me dudes that are in the 90 overalls blocking, and we'll go from there. And even that changes in this division a bit, The Niners, they ended up getting, Trent Williams with Staley gone. So they're high on my list. Arizona, they're going to drop because they decided not to go tackle like many thought they would go. Seattle, another tough team. The Rams. So I think that might be why the Niners are top of my division because they're so built well out.
We haven't touched on Seattle, but real quick, I mean,
right.
they're you're not if you get them at any pick, you're in a good situation.
Yeah, that's a team that I think will unfortunately drop. I mean, Boom got him late last year. I don't know if you remember. Boom was picking in the 20s, and he ended up with Seattle. Yeah. I mean, you'll never go wrong with Russell and DK.
It's just the pass rush. And we saw without any abilities, no
right.
Clowney at this point.
Right.
I dealt with that with the Giants, where like I'd play against Donnie, who was the Eagles, and he literally could sit back there for like 25 minutes each play.
Right.
So you'd have to start blitzing. You got to get creative because your guys aren't winning any battles.
Right, for sure. And then the Rams, we talked about it, going to sleep on defense. But can you make up for that on offense? Can you, when you need to score, turn it on? Because as much as I love playing with Aaron Donald and Ramsey, at some point something's going to give because there's not a lot of talent other places, especially the linebacker position. So
Cam Akers, so at least they have a replacement running back.
I think Cam Akers is going to be good, a Madden good next season. I don't think Madden 21 is going to be good for him just because of the ratings. I feel like he's just going to get kind of middle of the pack ratings at running back. Maybe somebody. I mean, like he might be fast enough.
Hill,
yeah.
You're like, oh, cool. A running back for the Ravens, and he's just a guy.
Right. Yeah. So I think he in real life is going to flourish in that system because I think he's a great plug for Gurley. And then even we didn't even talk about Gurley. We talked about Atlanta. If he's still good, that changes that team significantly. Because Madden don't care about bone-to-bone contact on the knee. And if they let Shazier run around at like 90 speed for 2 seasons, Gurley's definitely going to get a little bit of love. So AFC North now, your guys' division, the Steelers. So I have the Browns on top of the Ravens. Obviously, these are many people's top 5 teams anyways. Where are you sitting between Ravens, Browns? Are you?
Lamar, cover athlete, best player in Madden.
Right.
To me, it's not close. Lamar is
really?
the reason why he is that good. Right?
Right.
Where if the wrong user gets him, then it's just you wasted a year. Congratulations, but
Right.
he can do so much, and he's back. It's back to when Michael Vick was dominant in Madden, where
Right.
it's like you don't want to play against him. You're like, it's just the most frustrating thing. And with him being a cover athlete, it might be where he's not going to be fumbling, like every
Right.
quarterback fumbles in this Madden. I think he's the best player hands down.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, 90. If he stays 96 speed, I wouldn't even be surprised they bump him 97. He has a new ability called Trust. I don't know if you saw the screenshots. I have no idea what it
Yeah.
does, but I'm a little bit, I'm concerned. Even though I have the Browns over the Ravens for this division, if you're sitting at your pick and both are available and you don't go Lamar, you're an idiot. Like you're just flat out. You don't want to have fun. You don't care about your life. Like if you're sitting in front and you're like Browns, Ravens, and you like nobody like it's not fun to truck with Nick Chubb. Like it's boring. Like go have fun, pick Lamar. But I do have them higher just because the pass rush, the defense, the corners, it's just built well out. But no doubt. The Steelers are and the Bengals. These are two teams that I think once again are going to drop, and they're going to be really, really good for those guys picking in the late 20s. Maybe even early 30s. It seems like the Bengals always drop, but you got John Ross, AJ Green, Joe Mixon staying there, and then Burrow's the number 1 overall pick, so that'll never hurt. For your guys, the Steelers, I mean, the defense is going to be.
They're the worst. They're the worst CFM team.
Really, Pittsburgh?
Easily.
Oh
easily.
Man. I don't think Juju and Connor are going to get the love that they did this past Madden.
What are you going to do with an 86 speed running back? What are you going to do with
right.
O-line and quarterback who are all 40 years old making too much money?
I think I'm going to have to trust your insight there. Yeah, I have to trust your. Yeah. I mean,
they have young players, but like James Washington, like what are you doing with that?
And not only that,
you don't have
right. James Washington was like, if you watch his college tape, you're like, holy shit, and then you're like, he ran a 4.5, and then he's 89 speed in the game, and you're like, well.
He's done forever in Madden. He's got no chance.
He's not gonna do anything for me. So what are you gonna throw? Well, Eric Ebron might be a little consolidation for you. But I think I think I'm gonna actually move Bengals higher than Steelers on my list. I think you've convinced me.
You start off with a franchise quarterback day one, and you don't have to worry.
Right.
So it's that to me alone is worth bumping them up.
That's a fair point. Very, very fair point. So the AFC, what I always say about the Bengals is like they've had that thing where their first overall pick has always been hurt every year, and that really hurt that team long run in Madden because those guys never got to go shine and get crazy. So while they're kind of decent, good, they're not really big name guys. And you're like, who the fuck? Why?
They haven't drafted bad either. Right. It's very odd to me. They
Evans, Willis, Ross, William Jackson. Right. So as long as they get love.
They had a D-line of Geno Atkins, Michael Johnson, and Carlos Dunlap. And you're telling me like they're not good.
Right.
They just never really got it all together.
Right.
And
then
okay with that, so.
And then our rule stopping you from moving Jordan Willis to user linebacker really makes that team tough to deal with. So AFC South, the Colts top my list. I had a big talk with Danny and DMs about the Colts. I mean, they have pass rush with Justin Houston. They got the talented linebacker. Their secondary still work in progress, and I don't know how things are going with Malik Hooker. But how they drafted on offense, the way they drafted, the amount of speed they have, I think the Colts are one of the more well-rounded teams with a lot of potential, especially if you're a running guy. If you can work with Mack and Hines and Taylor, that's you. But the rest, I think, is like, I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. Where are you ranking these guys?
Colts are my short list, my top 3 teams.
Right.
Just because I love the stadium and the uniforms. Like I just like all the blue and white. It just looks cool to me.
I mean, I encourage you to be in a dome at all times because I'm so tired of finding you in the snow.
But they to me, I mean, like you said, they have such young players. They don't have those like superstar or like a Dante Jackson type of player, but they have enough.
Right.
Where it's something to build on, and it's for CFM. It gives you the best of both worlds, where you have a decent enough team to play, and also like young enough players to really just start to develop. So it's a good combination.
Right.
My worst team is Houston.
Interesting.
And it's just boring as shit to me. Like
I'll give a little bit. I think they're Madden good. They're not in real life good, but I think getting to wheel and deal with Watson last year changed my whole perspective. If the quarterback has any escape artist ability, they are going to be a top 2 team in the division.
If it's escape artist like it is now, it's their number 1.
Right.
But
Right.
I don't
They're
know.
up there. They're up there. But I agree.
So who's your worst team?
I have Jacksonville. I think as much as we love Gardner Minshew, you're going to start out with a 72 normal dev quarterback. Maybe Quick or whatever the hell it is now. Star. Is it Star now? Yeah. Maybe you'll get Star Dev and Minshew. Fournette, I don't even think keeps his superstar rating that he ended with. Not to say that Jacksonville isn't fun, but, I mean, did they – I'm trying to remember who exactly they drafted. I know that they had 2 first.
Josh Allen, they have and Ngukwe or whatever, if he's still on the team.
I think he's going to be gone, and that's going to be a big reason why he's down. If he's there, you're right. Let's talk about moving them up over Houston or Tennessee. But I know they drafted well.
It's a bad division. Like, those teams are just I would not want to be Jackson. I wouldn't want to be them. It's just ugly jerseys, like nondescript team. There's really nothing to them that really gets like, oh, I can't wait to run dive with Leonard Fournette.
Now, if you're picking late and you're like, okay, well, we have a, I need a team, and they have pass rush. Okay, they got a running back, check. They have a cheese receiver and shark. Okay, grab them and then make a move. Also, I wonder how their cap looks now that Foles is off the books. I wonder if Madden has them in hit for that or if it's going to be a little bit different.
They 3 years or 2 years ago, they were such like a good team with like Telvin Smith and like everyone. And
Miles Jack, Jalen.
What
Bro,
happened?
they were filth. And no surprise, you'll find that Pest was them during that era.
Of course.
So going to the East, this is I would.
None of the above.
The Bills will be fun on defense. If Josh Allen has any kind of ability or love, it'll be fun. Diggs coming to that team. Here's the thing: if you can grab the top team, whether it be the Bills or the Dolphins, and you know that those are going to drop, the other ones are going to drop late. So I feel like you might, if you're going to go Miami or Buffalo, which I believe are the top 2 teams, I think you might be that guy that ends up sneaking into the playoffs every year. And people are like, why is this dude got 9-10 wins? And he's always, because your division is going to be cake. I feel like that's going to be the easiest division. People are going to avoid it. And you'll be able to beat up on a rotating Jets roster, like the user keeps coming in and leaving the league or whatever the case may be. But I go
every league.
right.
Shout out to Ricky for just freaking out.
And then Jamal Adams is going to be on whatever team Pest is, anyways, here after the season.
Cowboys. If Jamal Adams goes to the Cowboys, they're like the best team. I mean, I feel like they're just like that. Just puts them so over the top.
Right. So while they're studs, nobody's touching the Pats with a 9-foot pole. Even Davy's not taking the Pats this year. No doubt in my mind.
No. Davy's going Tampa.
Yeah, and I don't blame them. So I go Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Pats. Bills mainly because of their defense, but Dolphins, obviously, you're going to have 2 first-rounders going out the gate. You have 2 first-rounders coming. They had 2 first-rounders this year, right? Tua and the 20-year-old corner from Auburn.
No, they took the tackle, too.
Did they? Oh, they may have 3, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
you're right.
Took,
so not flashy picks in that corner. He's
Austin
young.
Jackson.
Yeah, he's not going to be like the next level, but I think that
he's a devable player.
Yeah,
so that's
Tua's going to be devable. I think it'll be fine. Parker's going to get Breida. Oh, the Rita Love. Oh, for sure. I mean, even though he's probably going to get nuked, but Breida's going to be like Christine Michael, where it's just like he's such an athlete that he's always going to be usable in Madden. Maybe like Rojo as well.
Was he like? So he's got like super, like he's like 95 speed. Was his 40 time that good? Because I don't know what happened. He just came out of nowhere and was fast.
Breida's, he's always been a speedy boy. I think he's just been rotational. I mean, when you draft a running back or you bring in running backs, and then Frank Gore is immortal, you start to like all these running backs are coming out of the woodworks. What was it? He ran a 4.38.
Yeah.
That's burners.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
That's burner. Well, Frank Gore has been the running back in that area for 10 years. So nobody really knew of anything of who they were deving. I mean, I wonder how long he's been in the league. He's probably been in the league longer than we think. Just going to sit in the middle of the way?
I don't even know anything about Matt Breida. So.
But he'll be usable. Not to mention Devontae Parker's probably going to get love. And that defense, adding Byron Murphy? No, not Byron Murphy.
Jones.
Byron Jones. Xavier Howard, a superstar. So plenty of things to come for them. So I think Dolphins good team. Jets, once again, Adams, Lev Bell, Mims. There's good talent on that team, but once again, if the Bills user sucks or the Dolphins user sucks, you might be sitting there as the Jets.
Bills users always suck because the person who takes him is a Bills fan.
Uh-huh.
So like they'll take him no matter what. And no disrespect to Corey, but like
Right.
every league, Bills just always suck. It's just
Right.
because like someone's
Change
like, oh,
it.
I love the Bills, and they're so dedicated that they
We
just
should
want to
change
take
it.
them. And just
Right. We said this was going to be a 15-minute thing. We're at 30. But that's okay because we only have one more division left, and then we're going to finish with our each individual top 5 list and then our 2 to 3 sleepers each. So, West, I think no surprise. We know who the top team is. Even with cap issues, the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I think
easy.
Edwards-Helaire is going to get insane, even though he ran not the best 40. I think he's going to be that guy that they're going to bump up and be 89 speed, even though he deserves 85 with his 40. We know about Tyreek and Pat Mahomes. Chargers next. Do you think just because of a quarterback being young that they have that piece that puts him at number 2?
I think all 4 teams are viable. I know we're doing best and worst, but I think they all, you have an argument for. I mean, the Chargers, because of Bosa and Derwin James, that just automatically puts them above the other teams. But Oakland's no slouch, obviously now with like a 98 speed receiver, and Denver is really good, really young, really good with finally, because they've been 2 years of them just having really nondescript players. So they actually got a good draft class in there, and I'm excited to see what they're going to be rated.
Bob, we pretty much agree across the board on the West. I'm just going to hop right into our sleepers because Denver tops my sleepers list. And, you're talking about 2 pass rushers. Chubb is probably going to be superstar. He's an absolute animal. Von Miller's always been an animal, top 3 guy in the league. You're right. You're looking at Judy, Hamler, Sutton. That is a young – everybody's been in the league, less than 3 years. Drew Lock might be getting a little bit of love.
Yeah, he doesn't even need to be great. Drew Lock can literally be a 75. Just give him startive and give him something to work with, and then you're good.
Right. You're going to be in a lot of shootouts against these Chargers and Chiefs teams, so don't be afraid to wing it. Not to mention Lindsey, and Lindsey always seems to be a guy that, he was really good in real life, but he's kind of like Breida. If you guys, I didn't play as the Broncos, but every time I played in a league, Lindsey ends up with jukebox, joystick, 95 speed.
But you can trade Lindsey too because you have Melvin Gordon,
right? So
who's only a year older,
right?
So.
Plenty of pieces.
So wait, how many sleeper teams do you have?
I wouldn't say the Colts count as a sleeper, so I'm at 2. Denver is my top sleeper team right now.
I did 3 sleepers. So let me run them by you.
Okay.
Denver, Carolina, and Washington.
Washington's on my list. They're my other one. So let's talk Washington. I think we talked about the D-line, but McLaurin is going to be 95, 96 speed. Geis.
That's their only weakness, right? Their only weakness is receivers, weapons.
Even
running back, but
right. And even then, you're still rocking around with Terry McLaurin, and I think it's going to be easy to find. You have Ryan Kerrigan. You have a tradable pass rusher that's going to be over 85 overall day one. You can go get a receiver with that.
So Montez Sweat, 91 speed in this Madden, right? Chase Young, that's 2 gods you start with. And then they have, in the end of season rosters, they had 3 defensive tackles of over 80 overall and 25 and under.
Right.
So you can run a 3-4 and just close your eyes and just you're good to go.
Yes, you don't have to do anything at all, and you could just roam around with Landon Collins.
Yeah, and Reuben Foster's on that team too.
Right. So just show up. Troy Apke. If you need a user, Troy Apke. You don't need to do much. Just don't fuck it up, and don't put yourself in a situation where you need to throw yourself into a win.
Don't run cover 0 off, man.
What is that, a woke stab? Is that a woke stab?
It's just everybody. It's just don't ruin.
Right.
Don't try to do too much. You're not gonna surprise the offense with your cover 0 blitz. Just don't. Just play coverage and relax and let them make plays.
Now is Carolina because of your speed in terms of just you're starting with 3 bona fide Madden studs with DJ Moore, CMC, Curtis Samuel. You mentioned Dante Jackson earlier, and if he does have an ability, even if he doesn't, we're talking about the speed demon counter. Not everybody's walking around with 96 speed corners, and I think that's more valuable. You've mentioned it multiple times in chat. Unless he's fast, he's going to suck. But the fact that you can play over the top.
He starts, you're starting with, in my opinion, a top 3 corner in Madden. He's fast enough. He's going to get enough ratings, love, and you don't have to worry. You can press and don't worry, and that's if you have
Right.
if you're the Cardinals and you have Byron Murphy and you're pressing, you're like, oh well, here goes nothing.
Right.
But their draft class. I mean, obviously they lose Kuechly. That's
Right.
that's obvious. But they have Kawan Short and then Derek Brown they drafted with pick 8 or whatever, 6 or 8. He's going to come in as a superstar, right? He
Mm-hmm.
has to. He's the best defensive tackle. So
Right.
to get that interior pressure there's not many of those types of players. And then their draft class was good for Madden wise, and also players like Brian Burns and things like that. So they have the
Right.
pieces.
Right.
And Christian McCaffrey is now, if you ask anyone who's the best running back in the NFL, McCaffrey's top 2, right? Is he not?
Yeah, he has to
He
be.
now he
He
got
has to
better
be.
from last year, and
Right.
I think he's going to be insane in this Madden. And he wasn't this year because the abilities were like satellite and not
Spin
really
spin cycle is what he had. Yeah.
yeah. But I think this is his year where he's just going to you're getting a top 2 running back to start. So if you can't make that work, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and Willie, as much as I love Willie, he isn't. McCaffrey doesn't fit his game. He's never been. Whenever Willie wanted to run the football, it has always been kind of a power downhill guy. So to put himself in a position where he had to throw the ball as much to the running back, I think it kind of put him out of his game. Whereas when you saw guys like Saran and the way that he used Alvin Kamara, it was a little bit more lethal. Same for Danny. Danny didn't even really dominate with Alvin as much as he did. So yeah, I think satellite was a weird ability for those two
Alvin
guys.
just wasn't. He's in the same boat where he's just
Right.
like in real life he's great, but just in Madden he didn't have the
Right.
abilities to really go with.
But I mean, CMC is probably going to be on my short list of 99 overalls coming out whenever roster release happens. So I think that's easy. So now, what's your top 5? Just go ahead and list them out. We'll just go 5 together, 4 together, 3 together, and then go that way. So who's your 5th best team in across the
I didn't
board?
do mine in order.
Oh, that's
Give me 1
okay.
second.
That's okay.
Do
I
yours
have
first.
Tampa. Tampa's my 5th best team. Just because, once again, we talked about the offense. They have plenty of young pieces that after Tom and Gronk are gone, you're going to still be working with Mike Evans, Godwin, Barrett. By then, hopefully, you've developed O.J. Howard and Rojo. So I think that there's plenty of pieces. And then even if you're weak, you can go get rid of Gronk or go get rid of Howard and go get a stud on defense that you might be lacking day one. So I feel like tradability, their cap's going to open up when Tom's gone. And then I got to use their Devin White last year in the side league, and it's phenomenal. So
Yeah.
Tampa.
So my 5th would be Dallas.
Okay.
We already spoke about them. They're just. I mean, they're top 5 easy if I think on any list.
Right. And I was just looking at my 4, and it is the NFC East team, but it's the Eagles over Dallas. And while we talked about it, I think when it comes to Madden and franchise, speed is king, and that receiver group for the Eagles is what does it to me. And the fact that we've confirmed that Carson Wentz is a superstar dev from the Madden.
And Jalen Hurts does so much. Again, this is over the course of 6 seasons or whatever we play. So
Right. And we'll talk about that because we're going to get into a conversation about the abilities here after this show. So yes, we'll get into that. But Jalen Hurts does play a role. Now, who's your 4? Or did you say your 4? No, you said your 5th was Dallas.
So my four is going to be a little different. It's Green Bay.
Okay.
And I think they're severely underrated. And
Mm-hmm.
we went over, they have the pieces everywhere, right? They have quarterback, running back, they have receivers. They could use another receiver, obviously, but they have the best left tackle. They have, corners. They have, Kenny Clark. They have those guys where it's such an overlooked team.
Right.
And they were overlooked last year, too, because everyone's like, well, I get a year or 2 out of Rodgers, and that's it. Now you're going forward, you have that quarterback, and they, you saw what Allen did when he would just blitz his whole team and just play cover 0, and you're screwed.
Right.
You're just screwed. There's like nothing I could do. That you'd have to throw like 3-yard routes down the entire field, and then just hope he got banned off or something. And that was really it.
Gotcha. So number 3, that's where I'm sitting with Baltimore. I think just the only thing that keeps them from being within the top 2 teams is because is their depth at certain positions. And I feel once you come across a guy who can stop Lamar, Hollywood isn't a do-it-all. Like, as much as we would like Hollywood to be like what Tyreek is, where he catches insane contested catches and whatever, Hollywood's not quite there yet. And I still think I need a little bit more from that roster. So the Ravens are at 3 because of Lamar, because of Earl Thomas, but I think they still got work to do.
I put them as 3 as well.
Okay.
Again, I think personally, if you get them in the right hands and they're the best team or second best team. But outside of Lamar, they got Patrick Queen, they have Marlon Humphrey, they have players, we know that, but they're top 3 team easily.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt in my mind, and somebody's gonna luck out because I don't know if any of the CMs have the balls to take them. So somebody.
That's just so messed up.
Now the Browns are my second team. Just alpha star power alone. I mean, they don't think they changed much just because Baker's not going to have escape artists this year. And even then, as you're approaching, it might even be a good idea to let Baker go get some value there, maybe draft a quarterback. So we'll see how that
Denzel Ward
goes.
fits that Dante Jackson mold, right? It's
Right.
just a better team than the Panthers. You get that elite fast corner to start,
Right.
and you have the elite pass rusher. So you're kind of they're kind of like the upgraded version of the Panthers. I mean, receivers too, right? Everything outside of running back is really upgraded.
Right. Yeah. So
my second team was. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I have San Fran.
Okay.
Again, it's a set it and forget it team. You don't got to worry about them. They're already stacked everywhere.
Yeah, I think having to deal with some of the deving that you're going to have to do, the loss of some of those guys that were sitting on the bench that made that roster good, like Goodwin. Marquise Goodwin's an Eagle now. That's 98 speed gone, whereas before, even though he wasn't a prominent part, you loaded up the roster and you're like, oh shit, I got this Madden stud. Which is why the Niners aren't on my list at all. But I could see exactly why you put them there, and that's why they top that division for me.
Sure.
Are we both unanimous at number 1, though? I mean, I don't think there's a...
So if you had to play someone right now with your life on the line, or something really important on the line, if you don't pick Kansas City, I don't
There's
know
one other team that you can take. There's one other team that you could take right now, load up Madden 20 or Madden 21, and that's Dallas, in my opinion. And that's because you would be shoe clocking and you would be running and hold up. But other than that, I can't think of it. So I think that's the best way to put it is life's on the line.
Sure.
You have to play, a person of equal skill to you. Who you taking? I'm taking the Chiefs every single time. No ands if buts about it. It's life on easy mode. So yeah, I think
I experienced it firsthand. I didn't have to. Right. I didn't really have to do much, and I would score 40 points and be like, oh, I didn't even know how it happened. It just was that.
Or you end the season and you're like, oh, I have 3,000-yard wide receivers.
Yeah.
Okay,
Travis Kelce only had 30 catches, and it's like, what was I doing? It's because everyone else is so good that you can just give the ball to whoever.
So open. So I think that wraps it up. We've kind of touched every team. I think our top 5s. I like that they're different because it's going to be that way. So everybody's top 5 for franchise is going to be a little bit different. You made Cap mention about Cap earlier about the Eagles, and I didn't even consider that. So we'll see how it goes.
There's an article that someone did that looks at the cap situations for Madden 21. I don't know if you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So what it does is it breaks down the Saints are in an awful position. I think it was the Eagles as well, where it's you're starting so far behind and you have to release players unless Madden changes something, but you're already screwed. You start off already screwed. Like the Chiefs when Lance took the Chiefs and was like, oh, let me just keep the wrong guys and get rid of the right guys, and he was in negative cap space, and it's you have to, whatever team you get, check their cap situation and kind of see what you need to do. Yeah, like the Eagles, you knew going in, I got to get rid of this guy, I can't re-sign that guy, and teams like the Cardinals, it's oh, should I re-sign Kenyon Drake for $40 million? No, just don't. Plan ahead and don't get stuck in bad cap situation.
And just another thing is people just feel like they can't just let somebody walk to free agency. So what you do is you're like, oh, I need to get trade value out of him. I need to get over trade, and then you keep holding on to that player, and then you keep signing them, and just let him go. Just let that guy walk, get your cap space, and be in a good position in a season or two. It's hard to do that, but don't you dare trade Tyreek Hill for an offensive lineman. Come on, Grid.
People who trade Tyreek Hill are literal idiots. I've never seen, why even take them if you're just going to do that?
Never do it. So that we're 30 minutes over our predetermined time for this one. I knew it was going to happen, but at least in our mind, it could have been worse if we weren't flying through it.
It's conversation, It's something. It's not. Sure. We could just be top 3, list it, and stop.
Make a graphic, call it. I might make a graphic with our top 5s and then throw that up, and then they can listen if they want. But all right, cool. Thanks for joining. I'm gonna drop the stream here, and then we'll chat after. But it was good having you on, man.
For sure.